So here we are with part 3 so far of my interview with Mark Kevin Charlton-Davis about his life history and also his exposure to indigenous ceremonial traditions in Africa. And where we left off was the water initiation, which was really just dipping.
Yes.
And did you feel that anything came from that initiation, or?
Not directly. Indirectly, slowly over time, and mostly it had to do with like washing away all of my preconceived ideas.
Cleansing.
Yeah, it was like a cleansing.
Powerful.
Yeah, just dropping away. You know, I didn't feel the guilt and all of these things that come with leaving a religion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So how do you first get to Africa?
How did I first get there?
Yeah, how did that end up? How did that first happen?
Okay, so I gave my notebook to Mali Doma, and I met him at the same time I met Governor Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Governor Brown was one of Mali Doma's regulars as far as going to get readings. But Mali Doma was invited to one of Brown's events, and I went there, and I met Mali Doma there. Mali Doma asked me to meet him there. And I handed him my notebook, and he said thank you and checked it out. But a couple of days later, he called me and asked me to come work for him. I came into the office. He said, here's my computer. This is that. Here's how you use the voicemail. And he started like covering all my expenses, and he didn't pay me a check, but he covered everything, And he paid for my ticket to go to Africa to help him bring some of his students there. So that was my first time.
So where did you go?
Dano, Burkina Faso. Yeah.
And you were bringing students from California?
Yeah.
And
they were from all over the United States.
Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't bring them on a plane. We met them in Ouagadougou, in the capital of Burkina Faso. But it was a program that he had.
I see.
Yeah, a year-long program, actually.
And I gather there are many different ethnicities.
Oh, yeah. But predominantly Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like Germans are really attracted to that. Yeah.
Not surprising somehow.
Yeah.
So what happened? We get to Africa, finally.
Oh, yeah.
How did it go? You're in, what, Burkina Faso?
Yeah, well...
First? Where are you first?
Only.
Okay.
First, only Burkina Faso. And we were there because his father died. Was it not his father? Maybe somebody in his family died. Maybe it wasn't his dad though. But we had to go for that ceremony, and there's a lot of crying. They instantly, as soon as he walked in, we got there maybe 1 a.m. or something to the village. It was so cool because of the smells and the adobe houses, and it was my first time experiencing that. There's no pavement, there's no concrete anywhere. The smell of the chickens and all of that was there. Hearing the animals, and then he started crying instantly, and then everybody started crying, and then they all started coming out. And from that moment he stepped in there was a month-long funeral. They were waiting for him to show up. And then one of the reasons why it was a month long is people that were far away still had to come. Everyone had to show up before they finished. So some of these people were old men walking from another village.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was
So your first experience in Africa is a month-long funeral.
Yeah.
For his...
I thought it was his dad, but now I'm confused.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
That month-long experience was something else because
share anything you wish.
Yeah,
please.
I mean, some of the sacrifices were gruesome. Like they would take young goats and they'd be on the roof and they'd be doing ceremonies holding the goats like this, and then at the end of the ceremony they'd smash the goats to kill them. Of course they eat them. They eat everything there.
Yeah.
Rare occasion do they not eat. Yeah. But still, it was pretty gruesome. It was horrifying for me.
You'd never seen anything like that?
No.
No. Animal sacrifice?
Yeah.
And chickens too?
Yeah, lots of chickens. That was a constant. Yeah.
Any other
I got
animals?
really good at doing the chickens. But yeah, we did cows. bulls.
Mm.
That was really gruesome too. It was an incredible amount of blood. You know, and they don't die slowly. I mean, quickly. They die very, very slowly.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It was very hard.
And was your primary feeling during those sacrifices one of like, wow, this is really gruesome and agonic and painful for the animals? Was there any feeling of power there, or just, what is this?
I think because it was kind of shocking for me, I probably lost the experiences I could have had with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I learned how to do it myself, and I participated, but I was still in shock. Yeah.
I understand, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I would. I've never seen anything resembling that.
Yeah.
As a carnivore, obviously I participate in, the factory farming problem and all of these things, which is devastatingly wrong.
In Maladoma told me that, I don't know why he told me this, but he said there was one of the festivals we had during this funeral, there was a girl that was sacrificed, and she was in the soup.
Really?
Yeah.
A human?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I'm not sure why he told me that. I don't know if it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like throwing up, of course, but that was one experience.
Wow.
The hardest part about being in Africa for me is those kind of things. You hear these really outlandish things, and you have no way to verify what it is, where it's from, and with the language barriers and everything, because there's French, which I could kind of catapult into French, but I can't go into Dagara.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that cross translating, a lot of things were lost.
Mm.
Yeah,
of course, yes. The connotation trees of words in indigenous languages are very profuse, right? And the connotation trees for English and French are very minimal in comparison.
Yeah.
And so there's all these principles that just don't come across. When I was speaking with Ryan, he taught me a phrase, I'm not sure. I can't really remember the phrase, and I'm not going to look it up at the moment, but the translation is something like "just keep going forward," right? And it's sort of like just keep going forward in a dark time.
Oh.
When there's trouble, right? Wonder
Shadows of the Valley of Death.
Right. I can't find it.
The Valley of the Shadows of Death.
But in Blackfoot, the phrase immediately recalls to mind the bison in the winter. And the old bull bison, there's a long story here, right? Like some indigenous Americans wanted to hunt buffalo near Yellowstone. Yeah. And so they had to apply for a license to the Parks and Rec Department. And the Parks and Rec Department said, we're really concerned about these buffalo herds, so we want you to kill only the old, non-reproductive bulls. Yeah. So they hunted the old, non-reproductive bulls. Those herds died. And they died for this reason of this idea in Blackfoot, right? Which is, it's not just keep going forward. It's in the winter when there are walls of snow and ice, and the bison are starving to death. The old bulls crash through the walls with their horns, right? And they just keep going forward until they bring the herd to food. So those herds starve to death because the old bulls that crashed through the snow had been killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't get this from just keep going forward. It doesn't help you, right? The translation into English, it doesn't help you, right? Yeah.
Stuff like that, you lose.
Yeah. So you're in Africa for the first time. This must be just mind-blowingly incredible. Even though you're not yet in Nigeria, the place of your own people, and you're with the people of Burkina Faso. And for those of the viewers who don't know, talk about the houses.
Oh, I was fascinated with the housing. I mean, adobe housing. They use cow manure and they mix it with grass, and they use clay to build the actual bricks, and they stack the bricks up, but then they cover it with this cow manure mixed with a whole bunch of ingredients, and they're able to smack it in such a way or something to make it shiny, so it glistens.
Wow!
And then they paint these beautiful designs on it. You know what I mean?
It must be at least some slightly similar to teepee painting.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of cross pollination.
Geometric shapes and things like that. Yep. And the smell of the thatch, the grass itself, the thatch roof, and they weave it in such a way that you look at it and you just can't stop looking at it. It's almost like a Fibonacci scale kind of stuff.
Wow.
Really, absolutely beautiful.
Huh.
I loved it.
Talk, if you will, about the first Indigenous person there that you made a connection with.
Didier. Yeah, that's Molly Donna's little brother. So when I complained about and whined and opened my mouth so much about that little Jimu kid, that little twin that was in the cave pretending, I complained a lot, and he felt bad. He set up a meeting for me to meet another shaman. Now this goes into the bizarre stuff. This is where I don't know what happened to me.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we spent all night going to this place. We were on bicycles, and we ended up crossing a river, a couple of rivers. The second river we crossed, it was nighttime by then, and all I could see is little yellow eyes around the river. He said, "Those are the crocodiles. Just keep following me." And it's like, oh my God. I wanted to panic, but there was like no time to panic. I couldn't panic. I had to just keep walking behind him and stay calm. But yeah, crocodiles, And then we had to climb this mountain, small mountain. We got up in there and there was a cave, an actual cave. I'd never seen a cave before.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a serious moment.
Yeah. The other one that
there is power in caves.
Yeah, the one Molly Doma took us to was a cave as well. But this one was different. This one was like, that one looked like maybe a lot of people go there. This one looked like nobody's been there. There were lion's paws, prints, all around the cave and bones everywhere. Because he said the local people, they come there to feed the lions. So the lions come there to eat. It's like, Jesus Christ, really? They come here? I didn't want to be there, But we went to that place, and that cave was on the property of this shaman. And so the shaman, we went to his house first, right? And in this house, in the middle of his living room, he has a well, a big water well, in the middle of his floor.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, really good sense.
Yeah, and they sat and spoke.
You want to travel anywhere, you have a well in your living room, you got the doorway to pretty much any place on the planet there in your living room.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened too. Because
is it?
Yeah. Didier, I don't know, they were speaking together. Didier was worried about a family issue, right? Maybe his wife or something. And they were able to look down in the water and see, like, into his kitchen. I could see, like, motions and movement, and I could see, like, kind of images, but they were describing and talking about it like, this is what's, I just saw, like, images, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't make out, like, a face or something. But I could see, it looked like somebody just ran over there, stuff like that. But it was in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. And then when we went to the cave, I expected to see contomble there, but there weren't any contomble there. But it felt and looked like if there was any place, it would have been that place. Yeah, and the lion presence was really strong. You could almost smell them. It was very strong. Yeah, so I didn't stick around that long.
What happened in the cave?
Oh, I was insistent that we don't stay.
Yeah.
I gotta,
You weren't having any of that.
No, I wasn't prepared for that.
Wow. So you're still pretty reticent.
Yeah.
And feel like cautious.
Oh yeah.
Maybe skeptical.
Yeah.
And it's not clear that this is magic. They're crocodiles.
Yeah.
They're killing animals.
Yeah.
We're eating human.
Yeah.
In soup.
Yeah.
The fuck is this about?
Yeah.
Right.
It was
Something
all
like
happening
this.
within a 4-month period.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? After the third trip to Africa, I got to understand it more because.
Well, we don't want to leap too far ahead, but go ahead
Okay.
and finish your statement.
But in league with the crocodiles, because the bravery that they have with the little kids in my ex-wife's village, the little kids would like take a string and put a chicken on it, and have the crocodile come and grab the chicken and pull it out the water and walk around town with it. As long as they keep the string tight, the crocodile just holds on to the chicken.
Wow.
And they walk around with
Because you
it.
can't swallow it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the deal?
I believe so.
Wow.
And the kids would be swimming in the water with the crocodile sunbathing on the shore. They'd just be out there swimming.
Wow.
I can't, to this day, I can't fathom that kind of courage. I don't understand it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not really courage, is it?
Well, to them, it's their family members.
Intimacy
Yeah.
is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, those are their they call them their family members.
Really?
Yeah, those are their ancestral family members. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that makes good sense. If you realize that not all of our ancestors are human, and the oldest ancestors are really profound to have relationships with,
Yeah.
and those would be beings like perhaps insects and reptiles
Yep.
and snakes.
Yep.
Right? These
And
are
shellfish.
the oldest ones. Shellfish.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, anything in the ocean or the
Yeah.
waters, the clams and things. So the cave thing didn't happen, you couldn't hack it.
Yeah, I complained. There was a few things that happened. I started really liking this one girl there, and I was preparing to bring her back to America. She was absolutely gorgeous. And the thing, it was just too easy to pick a girl there because everybody wanted to come to America, so there was no way to pick one. You know what I mean? There was no way to date one or try to find out what they are. They're all like, whatever you want me to be.
Yeah.
But it turned out that Malidoma had her on the side, and he refused. So that's when we started kind of splitting up. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I let that get in the way.
And so how did this journey come to a conclusion?
With Malidoma?
The first time? The first time in
first
Africa?
one. So he left. Malidoma came back to the States. I stayed for
Okay.
another month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really sad because then all the truth of what people were feeling and thinking and stuff, they came to me to complain, and even his parents, mom and dad. That's why I get confused about who died, because his dad was there. He was complaining about his shoes because he wanted new shoes. He was wearing these cheap little plastic sandals that were broken. And it's like, Malidoma is really wealthy. He seemed to be very wealthy, but he wouldn't buy his dad some shoes. That's what they're telling me. So everybody was telling me these different stories, and I don't know the details of why and what happened.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like suddenly I'm the one. I guess because I was a secretary,
Right.
Maybe they
Yeah.
just wanted me to. They just wanted to make a report.
Yeah, well, no, they need to get it off their chest in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because it's heavy things. These are heavy things to carry.
Yeah.
If you have to keep carrying them, so you want to, express them, and then you can go on with your life or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you get disease and trouble, and so many of the people came to you, and did anyone have anything good to say, or was it all complaints? Was there any gratitude?
I didn't get that part of it.
I hear you.
Yeah, I didn't get that part of it. But the circumstances might not have led to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow. So what did you do once he left? What were you up to?
One of the things we had water well drilling equipment there, and I was helping everyone get set up with that. I didn't know anything about it. I had to do crash course studies. I had to work with geologists before going there to understand the system. And the areas that we dig and what to expect, right? And it was kind of archaic equipment that we were using, very old stuff. But I managed to help a little bit. And I think after I left, maybe a month or so after, they got everything fully operational. Our goal was to set it up so that they could dig their own wells and be free. But what they did after, maybe 2 or 3 months after, they got everything working and worked really good. They parted the truck out in parts, sold it. Because they needed money.
They're so poor,
They
yeah.
had no choice.
Yeah. They're like the selling of the Blackfoot artifacts I was telling you earlier, right? They're so poor that they just, anything for money.
But at the time, I didn't understand that. I was really upset because we put a lot of money and time. We shipped that stuff there. I found the stuff.
Yes, but you have to give the money and the stuff, not just the stuff and no money.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So you stay there for another month or two?
Yeah.
Okay. Any ceremonial stuff going on at that time, or just working on the wells?
Just that. We had a coup in Africa, in Burkina.
What's this?
The military took over the government.
Oh.
So I was there. It was just before I think Mali Doma left just before that coup started. It broke out, but it was pretty bad. I had to hide underneath my bed. I was downtown. I was in the capital, Ouagadougou, downtown. And I could hear gunshots, a little bit of rapid fire. I could hear neighbors' doors getting pounded on and broken into. I was in a hotel, so they didn't bother the hotel, but the little houses and businesses that were nearby. I think they even burnt down the Grand Mall, which is big. They call it the Grand Marché, really large. Bunch of tents and stuff all piled up on top of each other, people selling stuff, But it's been there for 1,000 years or something.
Wow.
It's like a main hub in West Africa. Huge. But I think and it was the Arabs, I think, from what I'm told, the Lebanese, they were burning these areas down on purpose because they wanted the property.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was happening. And also one of the lead band members of a famous group, they caught him on the road and drove a nail through his head. And so people rose up against that. All of that was happening. And I went downtown when that happened. I was going somewhere for some reason. And people were pushing and all kinds of stuff was happening. The police grabbed me because I had the dreads. I think they just thought I was maybe something. And they just were pushing me around and telling me where to go. But they were really rough, the police there. But it was quite an experience. Yeah. I was my first time being alone in another country.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
To put it mildly. So you come back to the States?
Yeah. So that's when I started. That's my first time getting malaria.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Before you left?
Yeah, I actually caught malaria before I left.
I see.
And I had to be flown out to Arcata, California, because Mali Doma had some friends there that were doctors. And they watched me for about 3 weeks, night and day, but I was deteriorating. And then finally, when it was at its worst point, for some reason, they were finally able to see what it was and take care of it. Yeah.
Okay, so that is an encounter with death. So you're going to Africa. You go through these experiences that you have there in your first visit, and now you become literally lethally sick. And then you come back here. During that experience of being lethally sick, what was going on for you internally?
Probably a big mistake, but I had an ex-girlfriend in Vermont that I kept missing and thinking about. So I kept writing music for her and thinking about her the whole time.
Not very familiar.
Yeah.
I'm a similar. Right? The lost love.
Yeah.
I'll love her. I'll somehow win her back through heroic efforts of wild creativity and expressions of love. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that, especially in Arcata, actually Blue Lake, but near Arcata, it was rainy the whole time I was there. It was really miserable, suicidal kind of weather. Mm. And these guys, these two ladies, they were lesbians. They were monitoring me, but they were also testing me, all kinds of tests. to see what my mental state was. You know, they said my IQ was like 148 or something. They did some kind of test. They
Well, you're sick.
Well, I was sick. Yeah. They had me and they fed me, you know, and everything. But I worked. I worked there too.
While you were sick?
Yeah. I helped them repair things and fencing, and I insisted. Yeah, I can't understand why they would do it for free. But they were Molly Dunlop's followers.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah. So they had me on, but they were Jewish, which at least the main one was, and they had me eating a lot of Jewish food. Yeah.
And so mostly in your mind, you're focused on the woman?
Yeah, for the most part.
Are you having any visionary experience or anything like that while you're so sick?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Can you say anything about that?
It's kind of convoluted because there was something happening with the rainforest there.
Where?
In Arcata.
Okay.
There was some connection with me there that was really confusing my African experience. You know? So I don't know what to say while I was only there about 3 months. I think.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're sick. It's much longer if you're sick.
Yeah, I was there for a month of getting sick and then a month about healing, and then I kind of worked off what I could before I left. But yeah, it was convoluted, the experience. Yeah.
Say something of the experience itself.
Well, I was staying in a small little, what do you call it? Not a mobile home, but a trailer, little one, right? A camper on their property. And it seemed like I had this connection with moss. It was like a really deep connection with moss. And it felt like my spirituality had to come through things like that. You know, just, the way moss grows and what, humans being a fungus or a sporozoan, you know what I mean? All of those thoughts came from there because of watching the growth that was happening there. And it was, of course, it was the African experience, but it was like learning it in America.
Yeah, the African experience had somehow prepared you and made you sensitive to the living places and their inhabitants and their ancestral powers and ways. So you come from, is there jungle in Burkina Faso?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Some pretty good stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't get that until my third or fourth trip.
Copy.
Before then, I was mostly desert.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right. So you come from the desert and the experiences that you'd had with the initiations and such to Arcata. Now you're in like
lush
redwood forest and stuff like this, right? Yeah. Lush.
Yeah, a lot of rotting wood. But a lot of fish and things like that, a lot of living creatures.
Did you have dreams while you were sick?
Constantly. At that time, I felt like, I think I mentioned this to you before, I was able to discover, we still had static on TVs then, right? So I could turn the static on and I could stare at the static and make it spiral. And I could make it spiral any way I wanted, to the right or to the left. So when I showed these ladies, and we did it on their TV, they saw it. And it's like, wow, I feel vindicated. I'm not alone now. Right. So I went to other people, right, that were
something demonstrable, something you can demonstrate
and share. And the kid, some of the adults didn't see it, but all of the kids saw it. Every single kid was able to pick up. I said, which way is it going now? Oh, it's going to the right. Oh, yeah, you got it. It was just that tree experience. It's, kind of like staring at the tree,
Yes.
The nature experience.
I also found during my own experience that the children immediately knew what's going on.
Yeah.
They know who's with me upstairs.
Yeah.
Right? They know that one.
Yep.
They signal to me, I see that the one up there is with you. He looks like a wheel. He has spokes like a wheel.
Like Ezekiel's wheel.
Yeah. One of the children actually held up this specific thing.
Oh.
He had the same toy in his house.
Oh, wow.
And he came to me and he held this up and he said, Alo Paulo, right? Alo is his friend. And I asked his mom, when's his friend's birthday? She said, Christmas. Great, that's my birthday. Oh. Paulo means stick. He's showing me spinning It's a spinning stick. Right?
Oh.
He's speaking in Spanish.
Oh, I see.
But
you
yeah,
call
it had the
palo?
same toy, palo.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She told me it means stick,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It might mean something else.
Yeah, I had a short experience in the islands of Palo Mayombe, which is a type of spirituality. You have to go to a graveyard, and they cut your skin open, and they dig up a body, and they burn the body until it turns to ash, and then they take the ash and stick it in your skin.
And you've been through this experience?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, in Mayaguana, which is actually Bahamas, but it's near Cuba, really close to Cuba.
How?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to derail the story. How did you end up there?
That was before I went came to California, before Malidoma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in my search for spirituality. While I was on vacation. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you got to tell the story, man.
Oh.
Yeah. How do you end up there?
I
I mean, this is what
the
what tradition, first of all, is this?
Santeria.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's similar to some.
Okay.
Kind of, I think it is Santeria. Yeah. It's dark. It's not good stuff. It's very dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
But,
if you
yeah.
don't wish to speak about it, I'll respect that. But I would
I
like
mean,
to
I don't
hear.
have. There's not a whole lot to say because I didn't get deep. I don't like traditions. I don't like going into places and wearing white. And, hallelujah. I don't like all of that stuff. I have to have a reason to do it. I can't just do it. And that's part of the process, especially with Santeria. There's a lot of ceremony. You have to learn Spanish. Why? Why can't it be in English? That's my question.
Sure.
Why does it have to be Spanish?
But I mean, the connotation web is one answer. So how the hell do you end up in where?
Mayaguana.
Mayaguana.
Yeah.
And where is that?
It's an island in the Bahamas.
Okay.
The very end, close to Cuba.
How do you end up there?
So my ex-girlfriend, the one that was pining over when I was in Arcata, we went there on vacation.
Okay.
And while I was there, we got into competition, did some competition, a little embarrassing. What do you call it? Beauty contest.
Okay.
Yeah, they're male and female. So she came in second or third place on the female. I got first place on the male, and she blew up, got real angry, and we got into a big fight while we're in the Bahamas on vacation.
Yeah, and your boyfriend's not supposed to win the beauty.
Yeah, no, right?
Right. That's supposed to be the girl's thing.
I know.
Apparently.
I didn't even want to do it. She's the one that pushed me to do
great.
it.
That's the problem right there.
I wasn't going to do that.
She burned her own finger. She put her finger in the fire, right?
Yeah.
And got burned.
It got burned.
And then it's your fault.
My fault.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what happened. I'll stick to it. But so I left the hotel and went to a restaurant, and there was a really beautiful Bahamian girl there that I got her number and kept her number. When we got back to the States, the fight continued, and we ended up splitting up temporarily. And then I went back to the Bahamas to find that girl, and then she took me out to Mayaguana and introduced me to all this stuff. And then I brought her back to Massachusetts. She stayed with me for about 6 months. Until my ex-girlfriend decided she wanted me back, so she threatened her on the phone and scared her to the point where she ran back to the Bahamas, and that was the end of that.
Wow, I mean, obviously your spiritual path, right, is being sort of gravitically affected throughout this whole story. There's these moons, right? There's these women, gravity, that draw
Sirens.
you. Yes, we agree. Yeah, sirens. That draw you into experiences. So I'm just trying to understand what was in your mind when you went to the ceremony. Did they actually dig up a dead human body and burn it?
It was already done when I got there.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had the ash already?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And we did the ceremony at
The
graveyard.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't last long.
And where did they put it?
I got it on the top of my head. I got 2 marks on the top of my head. One from there and also one from Benin. But most on the top of my head, they did something on my back, but I'm not sure what it was that they did back there. Yeah. But I still got the scar on my head.
And this is before you go to Africa.
Yeah.
All right, so Africa trip 1 wraps up. You get malaria. You come back to California. You're in Arcata with the Jewish lesbians.
Yeah.
You're sort of feeling into the power of the forest there.
Very strongly. Very strongly. Yeah.
Any specific experiences that you could share with that?
The moss there, it was like it spoke to me. It was like the moss was like one gigantic, maybe the size of Texas.
Wow.
You know, it was like a being. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still very strong. I still rely on that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a different kind of initiation in which the humans are not directly involved.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A very good. Thankfully, we have these kinds of initiations.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we had to depend only on the humans, there's a bunch of mess in there. There's tradition.
Always.
There's some fakery.
Yeah.
There's some charisma, right? Let's just be
Skullduggery.
charismatic. Yes. There's competition for power. There's hierarchy. In nature, I don't really get those human problem things.
That's right. You don't.
Experience. Yeah.
It's more pure.
So what happens? What's the next chapter like after Arcata?
So we had another meeting with Molly Doma. A big meeting with all of his students and everything, maybe 40, 50 people. And I complained about everything out loud in front of everybody, which I shouldn't have done. And I got really dramatic. I even fell on the ground crying and all of that stuff. It was really embarrassing.
I think actually it's embarrassing to think back on, but you must have felt something very, very profound to be willing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering if, again, this rebellion, right? Like the thing in school where you notice, like, I will get it, they'll pay attention to me if I do the...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not making this claim.
Oh, no,
I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I guess I expected my mentor to not be somebody who's cheating on his wife. That not, take someone that was expecting to be my fiance and just like, oh, well, she's mine. Like, you're married.
Yeah. How many women are yours?
Yeah.
Are all the women yours?
And I didn't understand in Africa that's totally acceptable. I didn't know what that was.
Sure.
So, yeah, there was a lot of complaints, and none of it was my business. You know what I mean? Really, I couldn't understand why Malidoma was always drunk. Like, all the time. Stupefied drunk. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, amazingly drunk. I've never seen anything.
I mean, look, Chogyam Trungpa, many very brilliant teachers. You'd show up at the airport to pick Chogyam up, and there'd be a box of booze that you'd be carrying. So I've heard.
The shamans that, when we had our waiting for a month or so, they all got stinking drunk.
Really?
Yeah, pee in their pants and all that stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
very tragic.
The drinking is amazingly serious.
It's so contagious, and it's almost as if, again, there's something missing from our experience of having a meaningful role and meaningful relationships and a meaningful life, and the alcohol just sort of fits in that groove somehow.
Yep, it picks up the slack.
The pain that we feel at being lost in our lives.
Yeah.
And then it also produces more of that pain, right? It doesn't solve the pain.
No.
It sort of continues.
They should feel better about it growing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so the big meeting. Then what?
Yeah. So that was pretty much it with my relationship with Molly Doma. That kind of ended at that point. So I started off doing my own thing. I went down and joined the new Black Panther Party at the Uhuru House in Oakland, to get more experience with the black culture here in California. I went back to Africa with, do you know Angela Davis?
I know the name.
She's famous, Black Power from back in the 60s. But I went with her sister to Africa, back to Dano. Because she wanted to kind of witness some of the stuff that was happening there as well. So, but Molly Doma didn't treat her very well. It's like, you're dealing with like really famous people. You can't even treat them well because they didn't pay the ticket for you. I mean, because he charges people like $3,000 to come to his village, not including the plane ticket. She just decided to go to check it out, and she's being treated unfairly, So I didn't like that.
That sounds like gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Right?
But also, he was running a business. Yeah, he didn't want people that didn't pay to show up.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's very much gatekeeping, right? He's like, I'm the gatekeeper here. You want in, you pay me.
Yeah.
You don't pay me, you don't come in, or you come in without paying me, there's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
Right? That's well, what can you say about it? I mean,
yeah.
All right.
So that was the end of the situation with Molly Doma, pretty much after that. Yeah. But we still stayed in contact. I still really love him and miss him. And the more I understood that, maybe he got wrapped up in what he was saying and just kind of going the wrong path, And he's the one that told me that that's the biggest danger with shamans.
Yes.
Is that...
Power.
Yep. You see you can
dangerous.
affect people and you can get financially paid for it. People start making wrong decisions.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, even in ordinary pursuits, right? Actors,
Yeah.
You make a film where you're a hitman. Now you got to make hitman films for the rest of your life. Liam Neeson, right? Marries.
I know, right? It's true.
It's terrifying. It can easily collapse in that direction.
Yeah.
But your story is still the central feature of where we are here. So how do you get back to Africa? Or is there an interim?
Yeah, so in my despair, Molly Doma's neighbor came over to bring us some beer, right? Because I always got to be replenished with beer. Or millet beer is what they drink there. And she was really cute.
Is this in
Burkina Faso,
okay,
in Ouagadougou?
Yeah.
Molly Doma's next door neighbor. So different tribe, she's from a different tribe. But in Ouagadougou, everybody's from everywhere. Right? So I went back again I stayed in contact with her, developed kind of relationship. I thought they were love letters. They really were all. It was written in French, so it looked so sexy and romantic. I thought she was in love with me, so I went back to pick her up and bring her here. And
rude awakening.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when I was reading and translating to French that it wasn't love. It was like preparation to come to America.
Right.
Yeah. She'd say bijou at the end or something, but it doesn't mean anything. So I went back there again, and that was a wonderful experience. That was a wonderful experience both times. I went there. When I went back there, we did a traditional ceremony there with her family. And we came back here. It was really romantic. It was really sweet seeming, And as we're coming back to San Francisco, we're landing the airport, she looks out over San Francisco. She says, all of this looks like trash. And it never got better.
By the way, that's the same thing the forest would say.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
It looks like garbage.
Yeah.
It's like garbage stacked up really high, right?
Yeah.
Or something. But I'm with you.
Yep. And even on the plane coming here, I had to sit in a separate area of the plane because I couldn't. All she kept talking about was her ex-boyfriends, and it's like I don't want to talk about the whole plane trip, 19 hours or whatever it was, 13, 14. I think it was 19. It was something ridiculous. I didn't want to just talk about your ex and how you cheated them or how you left them behind and laughing about it. I didn't want to hear it anymore.
Of course.
And back then I was over-exaggerated. I would never have left her today, but I decided to go sit somewhere else, And then eventually I came back, sat down with her, and as we're landing, she says, "This all looks like trash," and it was never got better after that, She always talked about how much she hated being here, so we planned on going back, and I said, "Okay, I'll give up my beautiful job, engineer." I gave up my job. I threw away all my stuff, even my high school yearbook, all my storage stuff, packed everything up in the Cherokee, and decided to drive across country up to New York. That way I could visit my family and say goodbye to everybody. It was a one-way ticket to Burkina Faso. And the closer we got to New York, the meaner she got. It was weird. It was really weird. But it was good that I went back to Africa at that time, because then I got a chance, because of her and her family's, they are extremely spiritual. Not her so per se, but her family. They're the ones that all of the elders go to for that area, you know.
Wow.
And they even have a king. There's a king there for those shamans. I got a chance to meet him. He had 300 wives and 1,100 children.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, literally?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to wrap one's mind around a number like that.
Yeah.
Do you believe that he actually?
Yeah. Because she herself is one of 43 kids, just with her dad. You know.
Huh. So you think he
kids,
truly had 1,100 children?
Easily.
I'm not trying to.
No, I know.
But it's just hard to wrap my mind around.
Easily.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
1,100 children. I mean, that reminds me of like beehives or something, right? Like, it's not even conceivable.
But 300 wives, you know, that's like one a day almost, right?
Right. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, what happens? So you've left the United States.
I left to move back
You're with her.
Yep.
You guys aren't getting along.
Not getting along, but I'm trying to make it work. We bought I think it was 43 hectares of land. Started a farm, bought the bulls and the goats and all kinds of stuff.
Chickens. And
lots of chickens.
Cows. Maybe.
Yeah, cows.
Yeah.
Bulls. We didn't have any cows.
No cows. Yeah. What do you get milk from? Goats?
Didn't drink much milk. Yeah. Had okra, corn, mainly, and peanuts is what we grew. And the type of collard green that they have there that's so amazingly good.
What's it called?
Can't remember.
It's okay.
Yeah. We don't have it here. Yeah. But you take that with shea butter and peanuts, and it's like a really delicious meal.
What's shea butter?
What
is that?
The karité. It's shea butter. It's like an oil from a plant. Yeah. Greasy oil. Yeah. I use it in my hair a lot. Yeah. But you can cook with it and eat it. Yeah. So it was great.
I remember some stories about this farm.
Yeah.
Serious stories.
Yep. It turned out a couple of reasons why I shouldn't have bought that land. That's the reason why it was so cheap too. One is because it was a vector. It was like a highway for ants, for termites. And the termites there, they build like these really large. I mean, they almost look like mountains sometimes. Yeah, they're huge, right?
Huge.
But that was their territory, and we built a house right there.
Out of what?
Out of mud.
Okay. Well, at least termites don't eat mud.
Oh, they bury right through it. So I woke up one morning. So many stories, man. Woke up one morning, and I could see little dirt coming out the wall. And then I see another one, and then I see like 10, and I'm watching it, and then I see the ants coming out, and I'm waking because we had like 19 people living with us, right?
By the way, you're calling termites ants, right?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is.
No, they're both Hymenoptera.
Oh.
They're similar, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They were pretty good size, too.
Yeah, I believe it.
And,
it's Africa. It's not the United States. It's not these little termites like this.
No.
Yeah. This is the old termites, right?
Yeah.
The first termites.
They look like they bite you, but I don't think they do.
I don't think so.
But I was terrified because they started pouring in. After they got the hole big enough, they would just like fall out. And then like thousands of them. So we had to vacate. We came out and we went and got help. And I was trying to pour gasoline. I was starting to get, I didn't start pouring yet, but I was starting to get the gasoline to pour it on them and light them on fire. But I mean, the house has got a thatched roof, so I was limited, right? I thought maybe the gasoline would at least kill them, but there was too many of them. There was nothing I could do. And so the neighbors all came out wearing white robes, and white. Everybody was dressed in white. They all, only to tell me, can't touch them. Traditionally.
Right.
You have to let them go through.
Power.
Yeah. Let them go through. It's their
ancestors too, right? Let them go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could put maybe salt around the house so they could go around it, but I can't kill them.
Yeah.
So I had to let them do their business. And
Did they threaten you?
no.
Okay, they just told you.
Yeah, they just tore the house up. You had to but it's mud, so you just patch it up and go on with your business. That was one incident. Another incident was sleeping at night and I could feel the ground rumbling. And, I heard this purring outside. But every time the purr, it was a rumble. The ground would rumble, you know what I mean? And everybody said it was Leon. It was a lion. And it was really, really scary because you could hear him sniffing around the wall. It's just a mud wall. Didn't like that too much. Yep. And the field.
No one usually would think in the West that the lion will make the ground move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really heavy. And the place where we build, the second reason why it was not good to build there is because no one else would build there because of the demon activity on that property. So there was a field where all of the ancestors, they call them, I said, but they were like demons, right? They would all meet there and have a party. And, I was there for a couple years. Didn't hear anything until one night. Maybe within the second year, the second summer. Yeah, there was something there. Absolutely something there. Can't explain it. I went out that field. Everybody was gone. I was the only one there because I was sick with dysentery. I had dysentery. And I was always sick. So I had dysentery. I couldn't really move or anything. But I heard that noise out there. I had to go see it. So I got up, got dressed, got out there. Even though it was my land, it was a long walk, right? Between there, where my house is, and the river. And I got about halfway out, and it was the singing and laughing and talking was so loud. It was I couldn't even hear myself think. There was nothing there, though. Yeah, it was amazing. And I wish I had somebody there with me to witness that. Yeah. But that was the other reason why nobody built there.
Did people ever come to the land?
No one ever walked out there either. That's where I would go to use the bathroom, though.
Really?
Yeah, it was private. And that's where a black mambo was there. Almost got me. It was a little baby one. But they said the baby ones are sometimes worse.
Yeah, the young snakes often have more powerful venom.
I was just relaxed. Minding my own business, doing my thing. And I look over and I couldn't believe it. He was like maybe to the coffee table, about that far away. Not where I could reach him. But there's this curled up and watching me the whole time. And I couldn't stop. I had to finish.
Of course. Yeah.
So I finished and quietly backed out of there and got out of there.
There's a recurring theme here of encounters with death. Very close encounters with death, and not just death, but the spirits of the dead and the powers of the ancestors and the beings who have died, come before us and died, and now still live in some way, somewhere. The illnesses, right? There's like this heartbeat of illness, injury, illness, right?
Oh, yeah.
Getting buried under the ground, then getting cleansed by the water. First the fire, then what? The burial or the mineral?
No, nature.
Fire, nature,
Yeah.
burial, mineral, water?
Yeah, water was the last one.
Yeah, earth, water.
Yeah.
All right, let's pause here for a moment, and then we continue.
Okay.
Excellent.